Commissioners, we just have one item on the briefing meeting today, which is a presentation on the Creative Equity Mural Project. Are there any other items commissioners wish to discuss at the briefing meeting? All right, well, that will be the item that we take up today. Are there any questions about any items on the agenda for the meeting at 5 o'clock? Okay, very good. Well, let's get started with the Creative Equity Mural Project update, and Rachel Nygaard is going to present this item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I have a fun topic to discuss with you today, which is an idea for going forward with a mural project focused on equity, and want to share with you about the initial thoughts and plans and get your thoughts about the project. I'm pausing for some slides. I'm Rachel Nygaard, and I work in Strategic Partnerships Office, and I come to you usually for grant-related topics or other special initiatives. And you'll remember during our budget season, planning for this year's budget, we launched some funding for the arts in partnership with Asheville Area Arts Council. You may have seen the news recently. That project is launched, and they're getting going with some re-granting to local arts organizations. And so that's part of what connects me as the speaker bringing this project to you today. And then the other connection that I have with this is that I serve as a member of the Equity and Inclusion Work Group for Buncombe County. So the Creative Equity Mural Project idea is to do a call for submissions looking for original mural art to be submitted, ideas from artists in the community to then be placed on county property and or facilities. So pretty simple. Goals of the project are to pilot a public art program. We don't have an existing structure within Buncombe County government right now for public art, and so this would give us a specific project to begin that work, and it could potentially grow into a further, more fully built out public art program in the future. So to pilot a public art program is the first goal. The second goal is to align with Buncombe County's core value of equity. Third, to enhance a culture of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And finally, the fourth goal listed there is to beautify our public spaces and facilities. The idea is that we would look for submissions from artists that are reflective of the people and the place of Buncombe County and incorporate concepts related to racial equity, to reconciliation, and to restoration. We've worked with General Services, a county department, to identify some potential locations or sites where these murals could be placed, and those are included in the presentation. So for example, there's a retaining wall or wall alongside a building located at 94 Cox Avenue. That wall is actually around the corner, I think, on Ashland. And another example is a wall on the side of 205 College Street, which is the building that currently houses the Register of Deeds. So those are examples of potential locations. The idea is that we would issue this call for submissions to the artists in the community to submit their original artwork, and they would give us graphic renderings of the design, artist statement on the theme and how it advances those themes that we were promoting, information specifics about the materials that would be used, and the installation and maintenance plan. We want to make sure that we are well equipped to have the upkeep and maintenance built in to the project from the very beginning, looking at the experience of the artist, doing any previous public art projects or mural projects, and of course, costs. The idea is to bring together a selection committee that uses a set list of criteria to recommend the mural or murals. So reflecting the theme, the history and the culture, the people and the place of Buncombe County, as well as those themes of racial equity and restoration and reconciliation. This next one around positive contributions to community appearance, aesthetics, enhancements, as well as looking at some of those facts around the experience and the capacity of that artist, submitter to carry out the project, how the durability will work, how it will fit on the physical facility, and then the timeline and cost as considerations for the award or awards. As the leader of strategic partnerships, I am working with Rachel Edens in the Office of Equity and Human Rights. And together we are leading the project and will engage other folks at the county, including the Equity and Inclusion Work Group, who you've heard before, legal, general services, et cetera, including procurement, register of deeds. And not only working internally, City of Asheville UC is listed here as an external partner. They have some experience doing public art and murals specifically, and had some great information about what their experience has been and lessons learned and guidance, as well as the Asheville Area Arts Council, who is our liaison to the arts community, the publicly designated arts organization for our area. And we would bring together a selection committee representing those diverse perspectives, and roll out a communication and engagement plan to make sure that we're making the community aware of this opportunity, reaching artists, and giving them clear information about how to participate and how to submit if they're interested in doing so. We are looking at opening this call in September, maybe October this fall, as soon as that call for submissions can be ready, and have a 4 to 6 week turnaround time frame for the ideas to be submitted, and then announced by the end of December, so that we have the spring to work on installation and have the project fully installed and complete by what we're looking at is about the end of the fiscal year, this spring or early summer of 2023. So this is a little bit of a departure from projects that we've done before. We're excited about the idea of it and wanted to check in with the Board of Commissioners and see what your response is and any thoughts or guidance that you might have as we proceed.
Well, I'll just share that I'm supportive. I really think public art has the ability to be very impactful because it can spur conversations and thought and reflection within a community. And I think it has the potential to inspire, also kind of create a sense of place, and then challenge us. And hopefully, getting to your point there, be able to hopefully heal as well and empower a community. So I think it's a great idea.
What's the budget for this?
I appreciate that question, and we need to see what the costs are, because this is something that we haven't engaged in the past. It was difficult to come out with a starting budget, so our approach is to put the responsibility in the bidder's hands. We'll provide them information about square footage and the details that they would need to know to provide estimates. And then we take a look at available budget within the county's already appropriated budget, and see how many awards we think we can do.
Okay.
So more to come on budget.
I'm also incredibly supportive of this. We live in an incredibly creative community, as we know, and I think this is a great way to engage artists in that creativity in a really unique way. My question after looking at the selection criteria, though, is will there be giving some weight or preference to artists of color specifically, since this is, really steeped and focused in equity and reconciliation and restoration?
That seems like a good value to include in the process.
Mm-hmm.
Before committing to that, I would need to talk to procurement and legal and figure out what what ways we can prioritize criteria. But certainly we want to make sure that we are reaching artists of color in the outreach and engagement, that we are reaching people, artists who are local, and that we're making the process accessible for all.
Yes, thank you so much, Rachel. I really appreciate that. And I would definitely advocate to work with procurement and legal to ensure that we can do that.
I think it's great.
It's good project.
It's a good reminder to, when we think about building new public spaces and when we're constructing something next to existing public spaces, to think about this kind of thing. There's a lot of retaining walls and blank, empty walls out there that are kind of lame. So it's an interesting way to fix that.
And especially the wall over by the tax office. I hate passing that thing. Yeah, we need to spruce that up.
Thank you. Well, it has been energizing for those brainstorming about what this could be and the potential to take it to the next level through other public art initiatives. There's a lot of potential out there.
Okay, I'm going with Al here. I mean, have you set some kind of budget? Because, I mean, we've had enough artwork done on private places on Haywood Road. I mean, surely we've got somewhere where we know what this is going to cost, wouldn't we? Or I hope that was one of the first things is what budget can we set aside to do this? Because I agree, over at TAC Fort, or what is it, 694 Cox, that wall is pretty rough looking, and then you've got some artwork somewhere else, so.
Indeed.
That would be my first thing is, what is it gonna cost and what has some of the past artists done? I mean, there's some artwork around Asheville that nobody paid for that they done at night, you know?
Indeed. It's a priority to include that. And this conversation today isn't to approve an award. And so we're not coming to you with budget information. We'll be back once we have that budget information ready. This is really consent to get going with the process.
But I guess just kind of following up, I mean, hasn't the city commissioned like a lot of projects like this? Do we not know what it costs for them to do it, for example?
Yeah, we have
ask?
some rough estimates, and I don't have them in my hand about what we could expect to see in terms of price per square foot in the bids. An example of a public mural, the city engaged with the DOT, the North Carolina Department of Transportation, under the 240 overpass that goes over, I think, Lexington Avenue. So we do have some of that project information that tells us what we might expect.
In addition, Commissioners, one thing to keep in mind, if we donate the wall, sometimes the artist will donate their time and material. So we're looking, that's why the criteria included all of those pieces, but our intent right now would be to that we give the space and see what they can bring to the table before we actually come into our budget. So as Rachel said, we will come back.
Yeah.
Right, but that's one option that they can provide, but we don't know yet. So we want to, if you're interested in the program, let's at least explore it, get the submissions back, and then let you know what we can do.
One thing I want to make clear, when I ask about the cost, I'm all for the program, but the reason I ask about the cost, I know that, when you're dealing with art like that, because we just had a portrait painted for Mom and Dad for our family home place, but the quality means a lot, and you pay for that. And we have, though, good artists in Asheville, because several I'm familiar with, and I hope will apply for this, but it's not always cheap. We need to understand that.
All right, any other questions or feedback? All right, great presentation, Rachel. Thanks. We look forward to hearing more.
Thanks for the feedback.
All right, Commissioners, that's what we needed to take care of. We do have a need for a closed session to have for a review of a personnel matter. Mr. Free, could you share more information on that?
I do. That's a excuse me, pursuant to 143, 318, and 11A6 is for a personnel matter for the board to discuss. There's been some movement with this consent agenda today, and I discussed with the clerk that maybe pursuant to that special notice meeting, that should begin at 4 and not immediately.
The closed session should begin at 4?
Yes,
Okay, so we can't start it early because it was advertised for 4?
yes, yes,
That's
sir.
fine. Okay. Do we need to come back out here at 4 o'clock and then go into closed session?
I think that'd be preferable,
Okay,
yes.
all right. We'll adjourn the briefing meeting, and we plan to come back at 4 o'clock for the intention of going into closed session for the reasons Mr. Frew just explained. All right, we're adjourned. All right. We have a need to go into closed session. Mr. Frew, could you reiterate the purpose?
Sir, we need a motion to go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-31811A6. And this is to discuss a personnel matter, and we don't anticipate the need for any action in open session thereafter.
All right, is there a motion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we're in closed session.